Hello and welcome to the third episode of the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel. Our special guest for today is Mohammad Abu Alfa, who is currently a medical student in Egypt. Mohammed, do you want to introduce yourself?
Matasim, my name is Mohammad Abu Alfa. I'm currently a fifth-year medical student in Alexandria University, Faculty of Medicine.
Awesome. Let's start from the very beginning. So what high school did you go to?
I was born in Alexandria in Egypt, but I studied for 14 years in Jeddah in Al International School, and that's where I attended high school there.
Awesome. So when after you graduated from high school, what medical universities did you apply to in Egypt?
I initially before Egypt, I also applied to UCAS and the Queen's University of Belfast, where I was also accepted. But eventually, I also applied in Egypt as well. And because I originally lived in Alexandria, so I got accepted because of my marks in Alexandria University.
Oh, awesome. So what's the admission process like in terms of admission requirements and like the overall application?
In Egypt, especially, the admission requirements are not that serious, especially for government universities for Egyptian citizens. It's based purely on our marks, and depending on if we did the high school examination for the Egyptian high school system or for IGCSEs and SAT as well, purely because of my marks.
Oh, awesome. So let's start from your first year at medical school. What courses did you take and how was your experience?
In the first year of medical school, it was purely academic. There wasn't any clinical experience yet. Other subjects would be anatomy, physiology, histology, biochemistry, and such. Second year, we dove more deeply into pathology and the pharmacology. Obviously, not that too deep because of COVID, but especially in the third year is where we made the jump from academic into clinical. And obviously, we made the huge jump into internal medicine and surgery, which is the heart of medicine, obviously. Purely
Awesome.
by
Yeah, go
Purely
on.
by basic. Okay, just purely by clinical experiences would be especially like meeting patients, requesting them to take their history, and then we write down the history and discuss it with the attending physician, and then we'll come eventually to a diagnosis and then do a following clinical examination.
Oh, awesome. So clinical start in third year. The first 2 years are purely courses, right?
Yeah, the first 2 years are purely academic. Third year
Oh,
is and later on is clinical.
oh, awesome. So in terms of clinical experiences, what rotations have you done so far? Like what specialties?
Okay. In internal medicine, we basically covered like 8 specialties, which would be gastroenterology, endocrinology, geriatrics, hepatology, hematology, nephrology, rheumatology, and the diabetes. And in surgery, we also covered some things more specifically would be oncology and vascular surgery as well. And in the fourth year, we mostly covered the neuroscience, cardiology, and pulmonology. What else? Obviously, dermatology as well.
Oh, awesome. So if you were to rank three specialties in your third and fourth year, what will be your like three top choices in third and fourth year?
I mostly enjoyed the internal medicine over surgery. So I'd say specifically in the specialties of internal medicine, they would be hematology, endocrinology, and also hepatology as well. And I also liked neuroscience as well, especially neurology.
Oh, awesome. So like what are some specific things which you liked in each specialty?
Especially for endocrinology, I specifically like how there's so many different way like the different so many different syndromes are in endocrinology. Cushing syndrome, hyperthyroidism, Graves' disease. That obviously that like how like the fault of a single endocrine gland can cause so many systemic problems in the human body. So I was particularly interested by endocrinology specifically, and hematology as well because of the different because of the investigations that they have to do to solve the patient's problems, and then also the following treatments that need to be done.
Oh, awesome. So were your clinicals mostly done at university or did you have to go to like nearby hospitals?
All our rotations were done at the university hospitals. And the only thing we went to a different hospital for is for the neurology rotation because it has to be done in a specific hospital, and that's where also the orthopedics unit is also at.
Oh, awesome. And in terms of the time commitment, like how many hours should you complete for each rotation in your third year, fourth?
The average rotation would be usually around 4 weeks maximum, and only internal medicine surgery took around a whole year, especially. Each round would be covered in around 2 weeks, and then an
Oh,
exam followed by an examination, a clinical and theoretical exam.
oh, awesome. And like, are your rotations mostly in the morning, in the evening, or do you have overnight shifts?
No, not yet. Overnight shifts are still in our internship procedure after graduation. All of our shifts are in the morning. Nothing past 2 p.m. because specifically because of 3 p.m. till after 3 p.m. That's where's the patient's visiting hours.
Awesome. So if I were to ask you what's a memorable experience that you have had so far in your past 4 years, what would your most memorable experience be?
I'd say my most memorable experiences would be in our second term of our third year because of the huge shift we did from purely standing in the class, sitting in the classrooms and just reading our books and hearing lectures from the professors. We shifted to an entirely different environment by hearing the different histories of the patients, and especially because Egypt, because it has a huge rural population. So you hear about so many different diseases that one would not hear from mostly in an urban background, especially. So it was very interesting hearing about how their specific diseases and family histories that were. So I thought it was pretty enlightening for me, to be honest.
Oh, awesome. Are you involved in any like student clubs on campus or even volunteer experiences of campus?
Not in the my university, especially. Just a month ago, I participated in a famous children oncology hospital, the biggest one in Africa, especially, in a clinical internship round. I thought it was a very lightning experience because we haven't covered pediatrics yet, so it was an introduction, I'd say, to the pediatrics rotation, especially pediatrics oncology. Because so many different people come around from all across the country and even the entire continent as well to be treated there. It was pretty heavy on the heart, but I felt it was a pretty inspiring experience for me, I'd say.
Fantastic. So since you are like gonna enter your fifth year, how is it gonna be different to your past 4 years?
I'd say like the difference there wouldn't be that much difference because we've covered the heart of the heart of medicine, internal medicine, and surgery. Like the only rounds I'd say we have left is the pediatrics and OBGYN, which for me I'd say is a completely different to what I'm used to because I haven't covered it in the academic rounds. I also there's ophthalmology. There's also orthopedics that we still haven't covered that. So I'm pretty interested to learn more about them.
Oh, awesome. So like medical school in Egypt, does it involve gathering letters of references from your doctors? What's the process like over there?
The process for medical schools in Egypt, especially for Egyptian citizens, is based purely on their grades. Letters of recommendations are not really needed, I'd say. But for foreign citizens, I guess like letters of recommendations really help, especially for foreign students who scored high marks in their high school examinations. It really helps also lighten the load of their tuition fees as well.
Oh, awesome. So what are your plans like after you graduate? Do you want to continue in Egypt or do you want to specialize abroad?
My plan so far is to continue. Like after graduation, I have 2 years of internship is required for me to apply to the syndicate of doctors, where I can actually practice medicine in Egypt. My plan is to finish my internship and practice for a few years in Egypt, and then afterwards complete my USMLE examinations, and then travel abroad, hopefully to the USA or Canada, to complete my further residency, and see where the future goes from there.
Oh, awesome. And what specialty are you most interested in? Is it surgery, internal medicine?
I'm leaning towards internal medicine mostly, but I can't really say I make a consistent decision so far because I haven't experienced internship rounds yet. So I think that's where I'll make a more concrete decision there. because I feel like I'm biased because purely because surgery was a bit difficult for me in academically, I'd say.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, if you were to reflect back on your high school experience and your past 4 years as a medical student, what advice would you give to high school students, to university, like university undergraduates and graduates?
I'd say, especially for my advice to high school students, is because there is a massive amount of peer pressure and family pressure to go into medicine. But to be honest, I really have to say this, and it cannot be understated. Is like this is purely your own decision. Like medicine is a huge commitment; it's a lifelong commitment, and it's not an easy it's not an easy major. Yeah, and because it requires intense study just to even pass. So in my opinion, you have to make sure that you're really committed, you have the ability, and you have the commitment needed to complete your 7 years, and even your commit the rest of your life to medicine, I'd say. For university undergraduates, it's mostly, my advice would be just to not be so discouraged by any low marks in our examinations. The future is bright. I'd say clinical experience is much more important for you to get to rather than any academic or theoretical examination performance.
Awesome. Since we mentioned high school, what's your experience transitioning from high school into first year medical school? Like, what challenges have you faced and how did you overcome them?
It was a pretty huge shift, I'd say, from high school to universities, because purely because obviously there's no such thing as homework in college. There's purely as only assignments, and I'd say the professors don't really care that much if you attend or do not attend, as long as you attend the minimum lectures required. So I'd say it's because I'd say university requires you require more dedication compared to high school, like and obviously in studying, I'd say, because in high school it was easy if you just studied perfectly before the examination, you do well, but in university it requires study throughout the whole year, throughout the entire rotation, I'd say that was the biggest shift. I'd say it was a huge culture shock. I'd say first year wasn't that difficult because the syllabus was comparable to my own high school syllabus, but afterwards there was a big of a difference. I'd say it was a bigger cliff to climb.
Oh, awesome. So what are some strategies you implemented to preserve your physical and mental well-being?
I'd say mostly it's always the gym. The gym is really important for our own mental health and physical health. I'd say it's just even like I'd say cardio, weightlifting, any form of exercise. I'd say is pretty important to preserve our own health. I'd say that was the biggest thing.
Awesome. Do you have any hobbies you usually practice around your free time?
Mostly it's video games. Well, obviously, I don't practice it that much because of my studies, but I'd say my hobbies would be reading as well. And reading, especially, like I'm very interested in technology also because I read a lot about it and watch videos and documentaries about them. Because I'd say it's important to have a hobby that's not related to your own major, so you can have a gap between our work and our hobbies and free time.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for being on my channel.
I appreciate it, Matas, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.